Renault would be the first team to bring upgrades this season, after an encouraging start to the season from Nico Hülkenberg. Renault are hoping that their new engine upgrades will see them compete for top 12 points more often throughout the season. Both Williams and Mercedes have confirmed upgrades for the Spanish Grand Prix, however nothing will be brought until then, so they have to do the best they can with what they've got to try and keep the gap as small as possible to Red Bull. McLaren Honda are also expecting a struggle this weekend, as through the speed traps, as the same as last season, the Honda power unit looks to be the slowest in a straight line, and has to be to make it up through the corners if they gain any positions. Taking a look at the qualifying grid for the Chinese Grand Prix, Daniel Kvyat will take pole position, over 3 times clear of Josh Chiro, who lines up in second. Jean-Eric Vergne could only manage third on the grid, and a very impressive lap from Carlos Sainz would see him line up in fourth for Toro Rosso. Valtteri Bottas was the lead Mercedes in fifth, with Rio Haryanto making the best of the wet conditions to line up in sixth. Fernando Alonso starts down in seventh, just ahead of Lewis Hamilton in eighth, who's over a second off the pace. Stoffel Van Dorn lines up in P9, and Sebastian Buemi rounds off the top 10 for Williams. Both the Houses would just miss out on a place in Q3, lining up in 11th and 12th. Sebastian Vettel only managing 13th on the grid. Very disappointing lap there from the defending world champion. Nico Hülkenberg lines up 14th. He's upgraded Renault, just ahead of Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon. Pascal Wehrlein would just miss out on a place in Q2, lining up 17th for Manor, with Max Verstappen only managing 18th on the grid. Adrian Sutil will start from 19th, with Will Stevens in 20th for Manor. Daniel Ricciardo was very disappointing with his qualifying result. He's starting 21st for Renault, and Marcus Ericsson completes the grid. Hey guys, Tara here. Welcome back to UniONE. This time, round 3 for season 3, the Chinese Grand Prix. We did miss the last race, go and check that before this one. The things got very, very physical. In fact, all between the front runners. Now coming into this race, can Renault do anything with their upgraded power unit? We've seen Hülkenberg's really been outperforming that Renault in the first 2 races of the season. What about Sebastian Vettel starting all the way down in P13 and Lewis Hamilton starting in P8, both Ferrari starting really out of position to what they've been performing this season, the top 5. I imagine they'll be looking for a fight back through the field. Now coming up to the grid spot now, lining up in P2, just behind Daniel Kvyat and in front of Jean-Eric Vergne, so in a Red Bull sandwich. It's exactly what we need. Split the Red Bulls, try and take points off of them before Williams bring out their upgrades, downforce upgrades, before the Spanish Grand Prix, so he's got to do the best with what we've got, just with the same as Mercedes and McLaren as well. Now coming to the 5 red lights for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. Actually get a pretty good start there alongside Daniel Kvyat, going side by side. Kvyat really bogged down in the second phase of the start. Now we're into the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix. Coming around turn 1 now. Coming around turn 1, we've run right, we've run completely wide on these cold tyres. Now we've got the 2 Red Bulls going inside of us, Toro Rosso just over on the grass. It's a terrible start for us. Now it's just dropping down the field now, going side by side with one of the McLarens, one of the Mercedes, and our teammate Sebastian Buemi as well. And now it's a Red Bull top 3 if you count Sainz in the Toro Rosso. Now we've got Buemi's going side by side with us now. Buemi just shoved his barges his way through. Now we've dropped down behind Sebastian Buemi, so where we're down now, somewhere down in 8th I think. After being first into turn 1, now I dropped down to somewhere around 8th, and Carlos Sainz got up to 2nd. Carlos Sainz has got past a Red Bull into turn 1. Amazing start there for the Spaniard. I'm talking for we're down in 7th now, behind a teammate Sebastian Buemi, and just in front of Fernando Alonso. A nightmare start to the race for us. There you can see the gap that the 2 Red Bulls and Sainz actually pulling away already after only half a lap. Now going up to the back straight, this is where the Williams will be strongest, because using our BMW power to our advantage down the straight. We've seen if the other cars have Slipstream and DRS as well, there's not really much they can do to try and defend. I'm talking of defending, Carlos Sainz are now going to do a very impressive defensive job. He wants to try and keep ahead of that Red Bull of Jean-Eric Vergne for much longer. Now Vergne going to pull to the inside now of Carlos Sainz. It's going to be a complete drag race, of course. Sainz getting the Slipstream off the back of Daniel Kvyat in front. Actually kept it ahead, of course, because Toro Rosso has a much lower drag down the Red Bull, so it will be faster in a straight line despite them both having Renault power units. Now we've got Valtteri Bottas now looking to go up the inside of Rio Haryanto. Look over his final corner, let's make the positions. We know how much Rio Haryanto fights in that McLaren this season. And he's proving that he's not just a pay driver, he actually has some talent as well. He's getting in the slipstream of the Mercedes. They're going to pull back to the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Going to turn 1, a McLaren Honda overtaking a works Mercedes-Benz. I think if that just shows how much McLaren have improved this season, or how far backwards Mercedes have gone. In all fairness, I'd probably say it's a bit of both, because McLaren much improved from last season, and Mercedes really have just got it wrong so far. But now we're back into P6, got past Sebastian Buemi into turn 1, much like as Haryanto got past Bottas as well. Bottas locks up there into turn 3, gives us a look at the inside there, but just covers us off, and now we lost quite a bit of ground there to really Haryanto. In front, let's go try and keep with Valtteri Bottas now through this high-speed S section, because high-speed corners is what this Williams likes. What it doesn't like is slow-speed corners and slow traction exits, so out of slow corners is where this Williams struggles. Let's go keep with Bottas now through this second sector, which isn't that pretty decently, with Bottas pulling away from us there on the exit. Of course, as the traction and rear downforce still isn't there outside line, but now we're going purple through the second sector, and we're also to brake check ourselves there, as not to hit into the back of Valtteri Bottas, but now looking back up front. Can Jean-Eric Vergne make his move past Carlos Sainz this time? Of course, still no DRS yet. That's not activated till lap 3, so once again, this is going to be pure slipstream. Now Jean-Eric Vergne's going to pull to the inside now. Carlos Sainz got a much better run on the Spaniard. We've seen there, Sainz has got a straight line speed over Jean-Eric Vergne. Now coming into the hairpin, Vergne's going to try and dive up the inside. Carlos Sainz going to try and hold it now around the outside, is he? Can't tell you tough on his camera angle with you, but Sainz is just kicking his nose up the inside of Jean-Eric Vergne, look around the final corner, if that's already pulling away. And Sainz going to keep it side by side with Jean-Eric Vergne in the final corner. And once again, it's going to be a complete drag race down into turn 1 now. And you think that's something else that Carlos Sainz would win, given the lower drag on the top of it. And Sainz once again managed to pull back ahead of Jean-Eric Vergne to move up back into P2. And if there's any way to make a statement that you want a Red Bull seat, I think Sainz is doing the complete right thing. Of course, with Max Verstappen starting down in 18th or 19th, it's exactly what Sainz needs to put one over his teammate Max Verstappen, trying to get himself in line for a Red Bull seat for next season. Now we're up into P5 now, we've got past Valtteri Bottas, so it seems every time someone makes an overtaking to turn 1, we're making one of that. Now we're going through sector 1, Richie go purple, and this time is representative because it's not lap 1, so we're the fastest car through the first sector there. Of course, that's not really surprising, seeming most of sector 1 is just straight lines. Now trying to get past, trying to catch up now to the McLaren of Rio Haryanto. Of course, the McLaren is good through the corners with its chassis and its overall downforce, but once again lacking in a straight line if it doesn't have DRS or slipstream of the car in front, because we've seen Haryanto manage to overtake a Mercedes, and Mercedes is no slouch in a straight line. It seems if Haryanto can keep within DRS, then he just should have enough to try and keep it to the cars in front. Now Rio Haryanto is going to get a great view now of the battle in front between Jean-Eric Vergne and Carlos Sainz. This time Vergne will have DRS now on the back of Carlos Sainz to try and make the move down the straight, giving a slipstream for the time being. Now Vergne pulls to the inside of Carlos Sainz coming down the straight, and Rio Haryanto, unchallenged from us behind, still remains in P4. Now Vergne just made a move up the inside of Carlos Sainz and now managed to clear the Spaniard, but now this should give Carlos Sainz DRS now coming back down turn 1, because it's not a double DRS zone, it's the second DRS detection point, so the car behind now has the advantage of DRS. So you can just see how much Daniel Kvyat's pulling away with how much Sainz for that. There's a huge engine failure in the background, and that means Carlos Sainz has to stick behind Jean-Eric Vergne. So Vergne got very lucky there. I was like, let's see there, Carlos Sainz did pull out to try and make a move. Now looking at a replay of whose engine just went, it looks like it's going to be one of the Mercedes. Again it is, it's Fernando Alonso! Alonso with the engine failure! Going down into turn 1 and Bottas got a face full of engine oil there. So 3 for 3 for Mercedes on engine failures this season. Now could he get onto the end of the VSC? Thankfully Haryanto doesn't brake check us this time. And now Carlos Sainz has kept pretty close to Jean-Eric Vergne through the SC period, which is crucial for him. Now he could try and make the pass with DRS down his back straight if he's got close enough. That's it. So now talking getting close, we go right to the rear diffuser there. Now Rio Haryanto in the McLaren, which ended up doesn't work out for us because you end up going deep through the corner. They'll lose quite a bit of time to the back of the Indonesian. Now see if Carlos Sainz with DRS has enough to gain on the back of the bigger team with the Red Bull. Now Sainz gaining massively straight line. He's going to easily make the move on Jean-Eric Vergne, pulls to the inside of the Frenchman and easily power past him. Now Rio Haryanto is trying to look up the inside of Jean-Eric Vergne as well, but Vergne's going to dive it right back around the outside now of Carlos Sainz. Trying to keep his nose in around the outside. Sainz hasn't managed to clear Jean-Eric Vergne. I think he just about clears him on traction. Now coming around the final corner, Vergne's going to have DRS now to come back at Carlos Sainz and try and make the move into turn 1. Now is gaining in the DRS, but is he gaining enough to try and make a move back on Carlos Sainz? Can we just make a move in the inside? No, he isn't. And he has to stick behind Carlos Sainz for the time being. So Sainz having the absolute race of his life right now. Up here in second, ahead of the Red Bull. You see there, Sergio Perez is out of the race. So imagine that's another engine failure. So 2 Mercedes engine failures in 2 laps. Imagine that's something that the Mercedes really need to look at now if their custom engines are going. So that's 4 engine failures for Mercedes-powered cars in 3 races, with 3 of them being the works team themselves. So really, really difficult start to the season there for Mercedes. And if they become a threat for the Constructors' Championship, they really need to get these issues sorted. As I said in the news report, they're bringing upgrades for Spain, but it just depends if they can have a good race at Russia before that, or if once again everything just blows up like their engines. Now going through the second sector, you can see off in front, Carlos Sainz is actually pulling a bit of a gap now to Jean-Eric Vergne in the Red Bull. So Sainz must have their engine turned up in rich mix to try and pull a gap, try and get out of DRS range. It's not really working now because we come through the second sector, end of the second sector. Vergne's really reeled Carlos Sainz back in. Now once again Vergne's going to have DRS now to try and make a move on the back of Carlos Sainz. Now coming down the straight, looking at the rear view now from Carlos Sainz. Here comes Jean-Eric Vergne with the Red Bull in that slipstream with DRS, makes an easy move back past the Toro Rosso, but the Sainz forces Vergne right over to the inside there, forcing him to take a very tight line into the hairpin. Now he's got me and the 2 Williams and Haryanto breathing right down his neck now. Once again Vergne has moved back up now into P2. But now once again Carlos Sainz will have DRS now to try and re-overtake the bigger team of Red Bull. Now Sainz gaining right in the solution now. Is he gaining enough coming into turn 1? He's not gaining enough, so now Vergne is up into P2. And if we have a good second out of the lap, I think that's Vergne now up into a solidified second place position. And now Sainz surely has to turn his attention to defending from Haryanto, me, Buemi and Bottas behind. Because going through this sector, there's a car behind us as well. So there's a whole train of cars forming, just how much G2 are battling. You see on the mini-map how much Daniel Kvyat's pulling away already. Now cutting a bit further on the end of that lap, you can see how much Vergne's already pulling away from Carlos Sainz in only 1 lap. So Sainz may have the straight line speed over Vergne, he definitely hasn't got the overall downforce and overall lap speed. Now here comes Rio Haryanto in the McLaren Honda, trying to make a move to the inside. It's for a current podium position. Sainz forces Haryanto over to the inside, much like he did to Vergne. Now Sainz can try and hold it right around the outside now. It's a great view of the 2 Williams behind him. And Rio Haryanto now moves up into P3, but Sainz is trying to keep his nose in right around the outside. He's going to hold it side by side now around the final corner. Sainz having the absolute race of his life, just fighting for everything. I mean, why not? He probably wasn't expecting a podium position this weekend, but now there we go, powering right around the outside of both of them to get up into P3. Now Sainz looking back at the side of Rio Haryanto coming into turn 1. Haryanto's going to fight it right back at the side now of Carlos Sainz, but he gets boxed in behind us. There's nowhere Sainz can go. But we ran out wide once again, taking a bit too much speed into the corner. Now we drop back behind Haryanto and Carlos Sainz, trying to keep the nose in up the inside now of Rio Haryanto. There's Jean-Eric Vergne, but he's going to come out in front of all this fighting gaggle of cars. It's like Carlos Sainz followed by Haryanto. Now Buemi's got past us once again. Buemi might overtake us once again. We're just having a complete nightmare of a race. We're just taking too much speed into turn 1, then running wide and losing more time than we actually gain, and losing more positions than we end up gaining as well. We could have made 2 positions, but in the end we lost 3, but it was a net 1. So, and of course, don't want to lose positions to our teammate because this is just holding us up now. Because we have the pace over Buemi, of course, because we were ahead of him and got past him on lap 2. And now Buemi now have the opportunity to try and overtake Rio Haryanto and Carlos Sainz. No, because McLaren's faster through the corners, but no, it's weak in a straight line. And that allows Sainz to come back in the second DRS detection point. Now coming around to the high speed straight, let's see if Buemi can do anything. Try and get past Rio Haryanto and Carlos Sainz in front. You know, Buemi should have DRS on the back of Haryanto. Then again, Haryanto has the DRS on the back of Carlos Sainz. Well, I see Buemi gaining in a straight line, but then he just sort of evens out as they all come down in straight. Now we're just like those 3 have actually pulled quite a bit of a gap there to me and Bottas behind. They're coming into the braking zone. They've actually closed up quite a bit there to the back of Sebastian Buemi in the braking zone. Now let's see. Now coming down the second straight again, but they're all going to have DRS on the back of Carlos Sainz again. Let's see if Rio Haryanto can try and make another move on the Spaniard, or if Buemi can try and get involved in this fight as well. If Buemi's gaining on the back of Rio Haryanto, but they're just not gaining enough into turn 1. Now McLaren just hasn't got enough straight line speed to try and make the move on the Toro Rosso, but to make a big move, we're trying to go right around the outside now of Sebastian Buemi coming through turn 2, trying to hold the momentum around the outside line, which now turns to the inside. And they're going to move on Buemi, and Bottas follows us through as well. Bottas follows us through. We're going to curb, we're going completely sideways over the curbs. And Bottas is going to get past us as well. So Bottas has got 2 free positions in 2 corners. We're trying to back up the inside now off the fin. Going side by side now through turn 3. But Bottas just going to get us on traction. Now Bottas just gets 2 free positions and does none of the work to take them. So me and Buemi just lost 2 positions there. I imagine Frank Williams is not going to be very happy with what he's just seen there. Just now we just try and really overtake Valtteri Bottas, and all the time we're fighting, this is just allowing Carlos Sainz and Rio Haryanto to pull away into distance in P3 and P4. So now trying to gain. Bottas is actually pulling away from us there, of course on the traction, because that Mercedes has a bit more downforce, and that's what we're getting right. We're getting a lot under braking on the back of the cars before, so we're definitely a lot braver on the brakes. We just overall is where we're lacking time through the downforce and downforce sections, just generally around the corners. And once again, Rio Haryanto gaining in the slipstream now on the back of Carlos Sainz. He's gaining enough kind of time. We're going to pull to the inside of Carlos Sainz. It looks like he's made the move ahead, and as Sainz comes back with their straight line speed, even without DRS, they're trying to try and hold it out once again round the outside of Rio Haryanto, coming into the hairpin and keep it side by side on the exit. But Rio Haryanto just managed to move ahead on gets the traction over Carlos Sainz, and now Rio Haryanto comes into the pits now for his first stop. Now we did completely lose Hamilton into the pit lane. Thankfully, we don't get stuck. And now we're coming to the pits now for our first stop. Going to another set. I'm going to a set of medium tyres, I think, coming into the first stop now. Of course, now try and get the undercut on our teammate Bottas and Carlos Sainz as well. So now Williams with a pretty good pit stop there. Let's try and rejoin now. Of course, Haryanto going for the undercut as well. We now just got to hope that we don't get stuck in any lap traffic. Now our exit, well, I say lap traffic, it could be the back markers at this stage because they're not lapped yet. They're coming out on another set of soft tyres actually, so going soft, medium in this race. I imagine that Haryanto is doing the same as well, and Haryanto indeed has gone to another set of the soft tyres, and we've got Esteban Ocon behind us in the Force India, and Ocon is already a pit stop behind us. Pretty much just shows how poor the Force India is this season, really. If they're down in 14th, I don't think that's I think they're even lower than 14th, because I saw some other cars coming behind us as well. Like cutting on to the end of that lap. Let's see whereabouts we come out compared to Bottas and the Force India. Now coming down turn 1, we're going to ride just behind Carlos Sainz, so we haven't managed to undercut Carlos Sainz. We managed to gain time on him. Now we look at the inside though of Carlos Sainz, coming into turn 1, because Sainz on the cold tyres. Now we're right up behind Rio Haryanto, but Valtteri Bottas there managed to overcut us to get ahead of Rio Haryanto and keep ahead of us as well. So now Haryanto has to really fight for that position now. He's overtook the Mercedes once before in this race. There's no reason he can't overtake it again. But now looking a bit further on, we've got the 2 Renaults in front of us. Both Renaults yet to stop in this Grand Prix. I imagine they're going to have a pretty huge battle on their hands in here, because having a huge battle as it is between themselves. This is just purely for pride at this point, because they're not in for the race when now we've got Nico Hülkenberg looking up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo coming into the hairpin. Now see, Van's already cleared this battle. That's how much time we're losing with the battling. But now Ricciardo's going to try and hold it around the outside. Now turns to the inside for this final corner. Can Ricciardo hold it at the inside? Then keep it side by side going to turn 1. And the more these battles, the more this is going to allow me, Bottas, Haryanto, Buemi to catch onto the back of them. But Daniel Ricciardo has kept it in front of Nico Hülkenberg. Now we're going up the inside now of Rio Haryanto, now coming into turn 1, trying to move stick, and we make the move stick. On the Indonesian, we run out a bit wide though. That could give Rio Haryanto a look back up the inside. He's going to keep it side by side with us. We just managed to squeeze out Haryanto, and now we try and chase down Valtteri Bottas, who's now being held up by both of the Renaults. Because now the Renaults really aren't interested, they're more focused on next season's challenger. We get a huge lock up there, almost completely Vettel into the back there of Valtteri Bottas. Thankfully we just missed him. Thankfully there's enough runoff there for us to go wide, carry the momentum round. But I guess just weren't expecting to catch up that quickly, when expecting the Renaults to brake that early, because Bottas can only brake when the Renaults do. You can just see how much time he's losing behind the Renaults. Like, look at me, on the inside now. Valtteri Bottas can show the nose. On the inside, Bottas runs out wide. And keep it standing with Valtteri Bottas again. Make the move on the inside now of Valtteri Bottas. Now we can try and chase down Nico Hülkenberg in the Renault. Of course, the Renaults are basically the Lotuses from last season with the Renault engine, so we pretty much know how that car drives. And through the corners, towards the end of the season, it's pretty decent. On traction, it's still lacking. But now we're going to have DRS now on the back of Nico Hülkenberg, but Hülkenberg will have DRS on the back of Daniel Ricciardo. And you see, in this Renault, we're not actually gaining that much on the Renaults. Renaults with DRS to have some pretty good straight line speed. Imagine Renault running a low drag setup to help. Of course, with brought engine upgrade to this race, but they still need a low drag setup to try and get some low end points from this race. I mean, I see this huge queue of cars now forming behind them, this complete banana train of cars. Now, once again, Nico Hülkenberg has DRS on the back of Daniel Ricciardo, and this allows Nico Hülkenberg to keep in front of us for the time being. Of course, Hülkenberg on medium tyres, so he should be easily past the Renault by now. And I've caught up to him. He should be able to find an easy move trying to go around the outside now of Nico Hülkenberg. We're just not far enough alongside. And run out a bit wider. That could give Bottas a look up the inside. Bottas has actually got that Rio Haryanto as well. So Bottas just has to stay behind us for the time being in P6. We're still in P5. We just haven't found a way past the Renaults yet. Now going up into turn 4, try and make a move. Try and think about making a dive on the inside. Get all over Hülkenberg's mirrors, but we're just not close enough once again. And it's on the traction exits, that Renault's actually pulling away from us. So the Renault actually looks pretty decent on the traction, on the rear downforce. Which just overall downforce is lacking. See, just gaining back here through the S section. We try and make a move, the same move they did on Valtteri Bottas. But no way can make the move yet, and they're trying to show the nose up the inside now of Nico Hülkenberg. Try and make the move, show the green flag further behind. We make the move past Nico Hülkenberg. Sebastian Vettel's out of the Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel, defending world champion, out of the Grand Prix. What's happened to Sebastian Vettel? Look, surely there can't be another engine failure. 3 engine failures in the space of 8 or 9 laps, and within like 5 or 6 laps of each other. I mean, if that's an engine failure, then it's surely something the FIA needs to look at if this track's too harsh on engines. If indeed we come back to China for next season, and now Hülkenberg has to worry about defending from Valtteri Bottas behind. Now we're getting rounded back now of Daniel Ricciardo going out to the hairpin, trying to make a move to the inside, but Daniel Ricciardo actually outbrakes us there to keep that position. Of course, Ricciardo currently running in what is a podium position, and if there's a safety car for Sebastian Vettel, that could work out very well for the Australian. And now actually Hülkenberg comes to the pits. We saw the flash of yellow just go across the picture. And once again we've got DRS now on the back of Daniel Ricciardo and go around the outside now of Daniel Ricciardo, around to turn 1, trying to find out that's how we swoop across the front wing there of Daniel Ricciardo. We run out wide, Ricciardo gets a switchback, but then we get the double switchback and go back up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. Great move there, great little switchback move, double switchback there, move there from us. And now Daniel Ricciardo has to worry about defending from the Mercedes behind. Now looking at what happened with Sebastian Vettel, it's actually where we're going. This is another engine failure, so another engine failure in this race. That's 3 engine failures so far. Imagine Grosjean managed to, actually surprised Grosjean managed to make the corner there. With how much Ferrari engine oil was having right in his face. Now Bottas managed to make a move on Daniel Ricciardo. Now Ricciardo has to worry about defending from Rio Haryanto behind. Haryanto is going to pull now to the inside, and Boy's going to turn around, and Boy's going to make it 3 wide down the straight. Gives Ricciardo a bit of a nudge to try and get past. Now gets past Haryanto, and Boy's going to come up the inside of Valtteri Bottas as well. Boy trying to make a triple overtake down the straight. It goes to the inside now of Valtteri Bottas. He's got the move in front. He's going side by side with the Finn. Now I think they're still side by side. I can't see Bottas in the mirrors. Now Bottas forces his way back up the inside. Now they're going side by side still. And now Bottas forces his way just back in front there of Sebastian Buemi. And Buemi gaining against the station, but Bottas has DRS. And Buemi just to stay behind Valtteri Bottas for a bit longer. Still, amazing piece of driving there from Sebastian Buemi to try and make a triple overtake down the straight. Pretty much showing how much straight line speed we have in this Williams. We're now coming in onto the last 16, now coming in for our final stop. Thankfully we don't do with Lewis Hamilton into the pit lane this time. Managed to keep it on the track, and now we're coming in this time for a set of medium tyres to take us to the end of the Grand Prix, because the hard tyres really aren't a tyre that you want to be on this weekend. I mean, they obviously they're the most durable, but they're just really, honestly, they're just a disgusting tyre. You just get no grip from them whatsoever. And then Haryanto follows us in, and Haryanto also going onto a set of medium tyres to take us to the end of the Grand Prix. It's almost good they rain in qualifying, so we don't actually have to touch the super soft tyre, because the super soft tyre only went about 3, maybe 4 laps in this race, so it's pretty much a dud tyre. So you really want the soft and the mediums for this race. That's the tyres that you want to be on. Now we're coming out now, we're around P8. We've got Alex Rossi in front of us on the soft tyres, because Rossi yet to make his final stop. So we shouldn't catch him. If he stops at the end of this lap, hopefully we shouldn't catch him. And Haas actually had a pretty good start to the season, because double points in their first race hasn't been done since Braun in 2009 getting points, let alone double points on their debut. But Rossi's had a pretty up and down start to the season as well, of course, straight lining into Alonso at the first race and then leading at Bahrain, of course, before he made his pit stops. He wasn't legit leading, but that's still Rossi having a much better season this season at Haas than he was at the Manners in the previous season. Of course, he was the only driver to score no points last season. And actually scored low more points already this season than he did last season. Now looking back up front now, we've got Sebastian Buemi and Valtteri Bottas doing battle now. And Buemi's just got ahead now of Valtteri Bottas. So imagine they're coming in now for their pit stops at the end of this lap. Now, did they come into space? Yes, they do. So now it's going to be battle of the pit crews. Do they? No, thankfully they don't Hamilton into the pit lane either. So now it's going to be battle of the pit crews between Williams and Mercedes. I mean, now how good Williams are with their pit stops. but they weren't as good as Mercedes last season, so let's see if Williams how much Williams have worked on their pit stops to try and get Buemi back out in front of Valtteri Bottas. Good stop there from the Williams, but it's even better there from Mercedes as well. It's actually looks like Bottas actually fallen away there, but Buemi's actually managed to gain time there, so a great pit stop there from the Williams boys. Let's just see whereabouts Demi and Haryanto come out in relation to them. So obviously Bottas is still behind. Let's go into turn 1. And that's really Haryanto. So Haryanto hasn't managed to undercut the Mercedes once again. So once again Bottas has managed to overcut both. Actually, managed to overcut Rio Haryanto again. So now cutting a bit further on. Now we've got this huge battle continuing now between Valtteri Bottas, Sebastian Buemi now, Haryanto if you can get back, and now Bottas gaining round the inside now of Sebastian Buemi coming down the straight, coming to turn 1. But Buemi just use that straight line speed to his advantage to try and get back into the hairpin. Now Rio Haryanto has managed to close round to the back of this battle now. Haryanto's going to be getting a great view of this fight as well. Now they're going side by side now around the final corner, slinging each other down. Now can Haryanto use that advantage? Can Haryanto get a run now on the back of Valtteri Bottas? First they're still behind Buemi now. Haryanto going to pull to the inside now of Valtteri Bottas coming down to turn 1. Going to try hiding now up the inside. I mean, it's not the first time they've taken the Mercedes in this race. Now Haryanto managed to make the move, moves across, defends brilliantly there from Valtteri Bottas. And of course this is only Haryanto's third race in Formula 1. And now Haryanto can try and chase down Sebastian Buemi. Now cutting a bit further on, taking a bit of a breather from what's happened. You can see this is Jean-Eric Vergne in second, because Daniel Kvyat still leading. You can see how much Vergne has managed to pull away from ourselves now, because we're in clean air as well. And looking further behind now, we've got Sebastian Buemi just ahead now of Rio Haryanto. So can Haryanto actually manage to try and overtake Williams? Of course, the fastest car in a straight line is being chased now by the slowest car in a straight line. Then you've got Valtteri Bottas just behind as well, who hasn't managed to close it up yet on the back of Rio Haryanto to try and re-overtake him. The game of DS, and then there's actually Lewis Hamilton in, I think it's 5th, followed by Carlos Sainz. So Sainz is slowly starting to drop back after starting in P4, going up in P2 for a while. Then there's Romain Grosjean in the Haas, so of course they're using that BMW engine to advantage. Then he's got one of the Force Indies behind him as well, so I think that's Esteban Ocon, because I think the helmet was green, so Ocon's now having a great race. Then you've got Alex Rossi just having his own race in what I think's P11. They're still in the points once again for Haas. Then we've got one of the Renaults riding off the top 12. So Renault's upgrade looked to be working. It's actually Nico Hülkenberg. So Hülkenberg riding off the top 12. They're cutting a bit further on. Nothing really happened in that final stint. Now Daniel Kvyat is going to round the final corner. He's going to cross the line to win the Chinese Grand Prix and make it 3 different winners in the first 3 races of the season. And Johnny Van's going to come home in second to make a Red Bull 1-2. Bit delayed, but Red Bull finally take their first 1-2 of the season. Now if all goes to plan, we've got 1 corner left to go. We're going to come home to take P3. So that means in every race of the season so far, finishing on the podium. That's a pretty good start to the season for us, I'd say. Now we're going to cross the line to finish in P3. Now we've got a battle just behind of P4. And who's going to win that battle? Looks like Bottas won that battle with Buemi. Then Haryanto with an engine failure over the finish line. Red Bull taking the first 1-2 of the season. Daniel Kvyat taking his second career victory. Of course, after winning Singapore last season. I think Red Bull have now finally made their stake on this championship. So taking a look at the race results, and Daniel Kvyat will take his first victory of the season. With Jean-Eric Vergne coming home in second, 5.5 seconds behind to round off the first Red Bull 1-2 of the season. We dropped down to P3 in the end, over 24 seconds off the lead of Daniel Kvyat, which just shows the dominance of the Red Bulls if they can get away and out of DRS range of everyone else. Sebastian Buemi will come in 4th to make it a Williams 3-4, just keeping ahead of Valtteri Bottas, so Bottas must have got past just after the finish line. It looked like on the cameras that he was ahead, but Buemi just managed to cross the line in front. Rio Haryanto's engine will thankfully give out after he crossed the finish line, so he's classified in 6th place, with Hamilton, the sole remaining Ferrari, in 7th. Carlos Sainz would drop down to 8th in the end after being in P2 for a lot of this race. Esteban Ocon taking some more valuable points to Force India in 9th. The Haasies will come home 10th and 11th with Grosjean ahead of Rossi. Nico Hülkenberg for Renault will round off the point scorers in 12th. So this now means that Jean-Eric Vergne has a 6-point lead over us in second, and apologies there for the table teams being in completely wrong colours. Don't know why I forgot to change them, but the teams are right this time at least. Daniel Kvyat now in third, 17 points off of the lead, with Hamilton now in 4th, 22 points off the lead. Sebastian Buemi remains in 5th on 26 points, 2 points clear of Sebastian Vettel in 6th. Fernando Alonso drops down to 7th, on still remaining on those 16 points, and now he's only 1 point clear of Rio Hayanto in the McLaren Honda, which is the team that, of course, Alonso left last season. Romain Grosjean also remains in 9th for Haas on 10 points, with Valtteri Bottas now moving all the way up into 10th position with the 8 points he scored in this race. Sergio Perez drops down to 11th on 6 points, and Carlos Sainz completes the top 12 on 5 points. We're now moving on to the constructor standings, and Red Bull now have a 13-point lead back to Williams in 2nd, with Ferrari a further 20 points behind in 3rd, Mercedes in 4th only on 24 points, and they're now 8 points clear of McLaren Honda, who are in 5th on 16, and they're now 1 point clear themselves of Haas, who are on 15. Force India remaining 7th on 10 points, with Toro Rosso on 5 points as well. Toro Rosso on 8 points, sorry. Renault are in 9th on 3 points, and Manor and Sauber in 10th and 11th, and are both yet to score. So that's been the Chinese Grand Prix. Thanks for watching. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new, and vote for your driver of the day with the poll link in the description as well. Of course, because I don't vote on this, so if I was to vote, I'd probably give my driver of the day vote to Carlos Sainz, honestly, for that epic battle he had with Jean-Nic Vergne at the start of the race. Although he finished down in 8th, he really proved what talent he has if he can take the fight to the Red Bulls, which he's seen that he can. So yeah, my vote would go to Carlos Sainz if I was to vote in this. Of course, you can vote for whoever you want. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you all next time.